Hello, welcome to the final event in the Raymond Danowski Poetry Library Reading Series for this academic year, featuring poet Douglas Kearney and visual artist Laura Ianku. I hope you enjoyed this stunning view of the Atlanta skyline from the deck of the Rose Library. My name is Nick Twemlow. I am poetry and digital humanities librarian at the Stuart A. Rose Manuscript Archives and Rare Book Library at Emory University, where I also head up literary and poetry collection development. Before I introduce our guests, I want to acknowledge that Emory was founded in 1836 during a period of sustained oppression, land dispossession, and forced removals of Muskogee Creek and Anaunwa Cherokee people from Georgia and the Southeast. Emory University owes an immense debt to the Muskogee, Anaunwa, and other original peoples who have cared for and inhabited these lands, and to their descendants. Thank you to Emory's Department of Film and Media for their support and co-sponsorship of this evening, and to the support of the Hightower Fund. I also want to thank Lolita Rowe, the Community Outreach Archivist at the Rose, for her contributions, as well as Jennifer King, the Director of the Rose, and Yolanda Cooper, Dean and University Librarian, for their support. The Raymond Danowski Poetry Library was donated to the Rose by its namesake in 2004 and was thought to be the largest private collection of print poetry in English. Danowski's collecting mission was ambitious: to amass a collection of all English language poetry materials, books, broadsized little magazines, and more, printed in the 20th century, a mission that continues to guide us. In just a moment, one of my favorite writers working today, Douglas Kearney, will join us from Minneapolis, where he teaches in the MFA program at the University of Minnesota. I want to wind things up and get to the reason you're here, so I will just say that of Douglas Kearney's poems, performances, visual designs, libretti, is there anything he cannot do? I am always in awe, in the truest sense of the word, at the propulsion, the sonics, and the, quote, seductive rhythms critic Ken Chen writes of in his NPR.org review of Kearney's new book, SHO. This is poetry as permutations, Chen continues, a puzzling configuration of linked puns, homonyms, and polyvalent bursts as dense as John Donne or that magician of diction, Harriet Mullen. I will drop a link in the chat to a discount code for SHO out last week from Wave Books, and the URL to check out his new live album, Fodder, a collaboration with Val Gentil, which is on sale through April 18th. As part of the double feature tonight, I am thrilled to introduce visual artist Laura Ianku, whose video works think through poetry and are gothic in structure and subject and attuned to dystopian futures, which her meticulous visual and sound designs overlay on our present moment. Ianku translates the terror of what's in store for humanity into something manageable, if only for a few fleeting moments. She works primarily in hybrid video forms and immersive 3D animation and gaming. Her multimedia work has been exhibited in galleries and theaters around the world, and she is on the faculty at Virginia Tech University. After the event, I hope you will join the three of us for a Q&A, which will be held by Zoom. The link to the Q&A will be posted in the YouTube live chat during the event. Now, please virtually join me in welcoming Douglas Kearney.
Hey there. First, I just want to say thank you to Nick for inviting me out and for the great introduction. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you also to the Raymond Danowski Library Poetry Series. Thank you for bringing me out. Thank everybody here who's watching from all of their various everywheres. Thank you for spending this time with me tonight. And yeah, I think I'll just get started. I'm going to be doing some poems that some of them are from the last book that came out like in 2016 called Buck Studies. Some are from my current book, SHO, which just came out. And I'll be doing, maybe a poem or two that are not from either of those collections, but are in collections that I'm thinking of right now. All right, so let's get started. All right, this first one is called That Loud-Ass Colored Silence, Protest. Weep, 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 We sh- we whole we are over. We are oh we in hand round the in hand all round the whole wide. We are all afraid. We are all are not free. We are oh we shall we are overcome. We are overcome someday, someday. Deep in we are over, shout day, deep in we are over, whole wide world come someday. Deep, overcome. We are is what the wanted, unwanted don't want. We are round the walking hand. We are not free. We be over. We are deep, is what the wanted, unwanted don't. Deep in my. I ain't what I ain't what we are over. We are ain't walloped up into dream upended and marched into houndstooth of knit elbows or garden of a million clenched buds. The doubled vox redoubles into sync redown and sinks into that old silencing right. We ain't, we are over, I am, and we are, ain't, I, and am, we are over, we are, I can't, ain't, we are, Black lives stutter. Hashtag Black lives stammer. I can't, ain't. Hashtag Black lives mutter. Hashtag Black lives yammer. Bow wow, said the dog. Bow wow, says the dog. Bow wow. What we want is to not be your what's unwanted, your what's or your un. We want what's what to be un yours. We want you to want what you want to want. Fireman points the water. Night and day, policemen work. We are open. We are open. We are. I can't. Ain't. Why won't you? So this next one is called property values, and it's basically, it's a poem by aspirations. Um, I mean that last poem, kind of jumbled references to Black Lives Matter, and so I began to think about, what matters, like what matters, and every single time, right, there is a protest out of the loud ass colored silence. Um, it moves very quickly. A lot of news coverage moves very quickly from being about um, dead black human and human. So somebody who identifies as male, somebody who identifies as female, femme, children, older people, trans people, like black people, right? But it moves from that to being about like the damage in the area, right? Like the shops, or like like Target, or like drugstores. That was a big deal in Baltimore. So I began to think about, well, like what if we could aspire to be something that people would give a shit about? And so I started to think about like drugstores. So property values. I aspire to be a CVS Lord, I want to be a drugstore in my heart, or a nice neighborhood, a rapless gas up in my heart, a legit ballad. I perspire all night at it. That my sweat, alchemical, of shit makes gold, factual. Consider spent plantation dirt, arena turf, recording booth. What transmogrifies these sans my properties? If it could, it should. It's been bottled. Me? I transsued this solvent, sun up to you know when, then turn up as you know what. When it come time for one time to calm or gun sunshine, through us bin crying hues, mustn't the copper figure, were its heart full of mouthwash, hair care products, and miscellaneous cheap electronics, I'd serve, protect. Lord, my escalators would all descend, and all for sale would glisten. This next poem is called SHO. And SHO is written in a form called a torsion, which was created by a former student of mine named Indigo Weller for a class in which all the students create new poetic forms. And torsion is a kind of a modification of a sestina in that it uses alternating end lines, end words, I should say, tellutons, right? If I'm gonna get fancy and shit, tellutons. But the pattern of repetition and recursion that Indigo based the torsions, telluton, tumbling tellutons on is lace weaving patterns, because I believe Indigo's grandfather was a lace weaver. This poem, I'm going to say a little bit of something about it because once I did this poem, I thought all I had to do was introduce the form. But like, I saw, some comments someplace that said that people needed more. So I aims to please. And so I'm going to give you just a little bit more. SHO, which is the title poem of the newest book, is about performance. It's about what we need certain people to perform for the rest of us to see and how that works. All right, so here we go. I hope that helps. SHO, a torsion after Indigo Weller. Some need some body or more to ape sweat on some site. Bloody pearl or dirty spit, hocked up for to show who gets eaten. Rig, body up, bow, bow to breeze a lazed jig, and sway to Grig's good fiddlin' pine deep dusk, a spot where stood body. Thus they clap when I mount bonk, jig up the lectern, bow to say it's all good. We gathered, withstood the bends of dives deeper, darker. They clap as I get down. Sweat highlights my body. How meats dyed bloody look fresher for show. I got deep, spit out my mouth, a rigid red rind, bloody melon. Ha! No sweat, joking. Nobody knows the trouble. Rig full a day of show. Why fix this mess? Spit in tragedy's good eye. This one's called Jigger Gogglers, then bow housefully. They clap, be misunderstood. Hang notes high or deep, make my tongue a bow. What's the gift, my good songfox? The gift, jiggle nickels from deep down my craw. They clap, I so jolly, stood on that bank, body picked over, blood errato, Braxton sweat brow syndrome, spit out a sax bell, rig a negrosis show of feels for show. Sweat equals work, bloody ink pot of body. I stay nib dip, show never run dry, rigorously I spit outstretched feet, lines jig, ha 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 ha, good one. That I is bow, deep but not out, stood, shining dim, they clap, waves slapping hulls, deep, don't mean sunken, goods, not yummy, right? Bow, blanched with foam, jig jigs, this one's called, they clap, arrow, so much deep ends upon dead, stood, I on that bloody rise up, sweet body. There you is too. Sweat it lets. They clap. Right. Some ask. Post. Spit. Toe lipped. I said show. Some need somebody. Some need some. I mean, like some. I'm mostly, just kind of casting shade at like who is it that needs to see other people dead, and for what reason? Ape here is it's a pun, right? And a pun is something that has double meanings, and so ape means to imitate, but ape is also a racist slur against black people. Pearl is as P-U-R-L, right? So you might hear pearl, P-E-A-R-L, and that's called a homophonic. Hawk is like spitting, but it's also like sold. So it's this idea of trading or selling one's pain or suffering for the show. A grig is a word for a grasshopper. A jig is a dance, right? So like, but also it's short for jigaboo, which is another slur for black people. Spot, that's to suggest a spotlight, but also a place. And then thus they clap. They throughout this is generally going to be an audience of a bunch of raving, monstrous white people who would lynch black people for entertainment and take photographs. Mount a bunk, right? So mount a bunk. So a bunk is like a stage, a raised stage area. And so when I mount bunk, when I climb upon the bunk, but also a mountebank. Mountebank is a kind of like a snake oil salesperson. So it's sort of like, is he telling the truth? We're just entertaining us. What's trying to sell us? So it's kind of mixed up in there. The bends are a physical condition that happens when you change pressure of depth too quickly. So it bends. Withstood the bends of dives deeper, darker. Now, deeper, darker is of course a reference to an idea of deepest, darkest Africa, but it's also a deep dive into something darker or grim, right? So diving deep. But if we're gathered here, we withstood the pain of all of those terrible memories and ideas that would have come from thinking about the deep, dark past, right? So we're okay because bowed and it's all good. It's a reference to a practice in butcher windows, oftentimes in supermarkets. They'll kind of color the meat with more blood to make it look red, sometimes food coloring or special lights, and that makes it look fresher because if it got all kind of brown, which is what happens when it's exposed to air for a long time, it starts to change color. It's not aesthetically pleasing, so we want our meat to look freshly cut and bloody. Show, Guan fix this mess. So as if like the kind of performative black person can fix all of the suffering and also fix the audience's sort of feelings about that suffering. Like forcefully plays on the idea of like the theatrical house, but also the idea of a house slave. So which is in a lot of Black vernaculars and cultural spaces considered the person who cares more about protecting white people's interests and also mollifying their feelings. So the mouth red rind, my mouth red rind, bloody melon hot, no sweat, back to the bowing. Nobody knows trouble. But there's also this kind of color, right? It's getting this one's called nobody. The image of what used to be called I suppose if you're buying one today, it would be called the Jolly Nigger Bank, and these were like automatons, right? You drop a nickel or a coin into the mouth, the weight would make that hand bounce up and shiny the dog kept the limit of 5. So usually when this poem through line and the speaker activates some of that poem, and so flip to play eyes performance is standing reference, but then it adds there situation would fit but what I'm standing on that was also giving this poem a clue from the game. You're not giving this poem. How are you standing on? So I was thinking about how to write poetry that would be, like super avant-garde. Oh no, it's French. So avant-garde, right? Okay. So avant-garde poetry as a Black poet. And I began to think to myself, like, the problem that sometimes people have with avant-garde, sorry, mispronounce it, garde poetry, is that they just need a way to get into it. They need help getting into the work. And so I began to think about, well, what are the ways in which Black artists have brought unfamiliar things to like the public mass consciousness? And so I dug deep into the tradition to look for the answer from where comes my help. And so what that did was it allowed me this insight into a mode, a method that I could use to bring this new work, this new tomorrow time work to you, all Afrofuturist, like from Wakanda or something. And so the form I thought of was the brand new dance song. It's like a brand new dance, like all these songs, right? The twist, the percolator, cha-cha slide, all of these different songs. And so here's a brand new dance. It's called Do the Backseat Jam. Back again, you know how it goes. Throw your hands in the air when the light's on. Maestro, raise the baton and swing till you feel it. The beat, what's taking over? The street to the club. When I say, you say, ow! It thumps. Let me see those hands. All the people in the be quiet. Get down on the floor like this will be the sure shot hit. Sweat through your clothes. You got it. You better put your hands. Get ready for the you ain't ready for you gonna. Listen up, just as easy as falling off a countdown. 3, do it till it's done. To the 2, the ones in blue. Show them what you said to do. 2 zeros in brown. To the back, now you right in the jam. This next poem is one of the older poems in the collection of SHO, and it's called The Showdown. It used to be called The Shootout, but because the title of the book is in its SHO, I was like, change that to The Showdown. I think it still works. So this is a poem that's about guns, sort of, the showdown. The showdown. Is guns given druthers of meaning or being? The old town looks empty, save for chattering, lace palling pains awaiting murder to see. Saltpeter all, even the birds, dizzying down washpan dusk. Buzzards, God's finger. Now one gun desires meaning. This is for, and sputters. That's the gun what wins. The other? There's God's index, carnal, wrecking a sunken cheek. If the gun reckoned what it was, would it speak? Could it whisper, not meaning nothing by it? In this panoramic utterance of dust. Round these parts, the rotten cusses won't carry their own infants, their hands set at what they ain't. To have been gun at duel, to serve one, simply to cry out, then only be judged by spans of silence. The cinematic gun kills, only acting out itself. The cinematic gun, a spook mask, gibbous skin and fixed rubber fangs. For the cinematic gun, discharging beyond magazine capacity is bug-eyed, bucking, but not kicking accuracy, cock-eyed is for the cinematic gun kind of cooning. See the cinematic gun. Take the gun virgin's hand when the murderous goon, searching, rounds the debris where the gun virgin trembles. Lousy, lousy, goon gushes curly-cued corn syrup, die. See the gun virgin drop the empty cinematic gun's smoky barrel, floorward. When it lands here, I loves every creature everywhere. As we cut here, that's all. And how will your lead ball express? Boomed flint pistol. I fixed light, but no ball. Zodded laser gun. Cool. Leveled. They nodded there over old fields, still scars, as the blood and ashes slurried in low places. And if the gun abets the bullet, magazined, chambered, let out, thus a projected sense of further and further, of farther and farther, until careened or ricocheted, till a silk-screened t-shirt, dark face, a sunrise, a sunset, the block's sawed-off days, walker, driver, further, farther, shopper, corner, bystander, automatic gun, near too fast to have been, but not so fast as to be meaningless. Needful, omnivorous gun, farther and further, certain weather all you desperate guns, waiting to speak and then. Thank you. Thank you all. I got something in my eye. It's not tears, though. It's not. It's probably just like some dust or something. It's dry. Fucking dry in here. It's dry. Excuse me. Get some water. It's dry. Okay. All right. So we got ourselves another brand new dance, right? Right. So we got another brand new dance. Keep the bodies moving. All right. So this is called the Do the 6-foot Jump Down. Back with the dusty, how we get it in, till the cut it loose, just like mama done, is all the way live and direct you dead on it like pops hit the floor to that old gritty sound is spinning in the party. Get low, people in the groove, somebody scream the rhythm rock till the lights go dark. Can't feel the tempo, better lay it back. Easy when the horns blow, you know the time. Dig it, then you gonna break down. Show them what you got, nobody's still standing up against the wall. Last call, all y'all, you peep. The beat fades, so my peeps in black don't wave. Your hands at the drop, crisscross, look alive. Come here. Come here. So this next poem is called "The Post," and it was actually written at around the same time as the Shootout, which became the Showdown, and it uses a similar 5-part structure. I was on some shit about like, oh, what if poems use the sort of formal structure of essays? And I mean that they didn't. I mean, like, I don't even. It's just 5-part stuff. I don't know if there's an introduction, 3 supporting paragraphs, or a conclusion. I don't know that that's happening. But there's something else about this that I don't know what's happening, which is post. The post with the little hyphen at the end. So I guess it should be the post, like the little catch of air after the post, because what's happening? What's the post? And specifically, thinking about like post race, right? Which is funny because I wrote these right around when Barack Obama became president the first time. And so, like, so many people were just so excited because they thought that meant that, like racism would be over and that we couldn't talk about racism anymore because one motherfucker got to be president. Like, I mean, at that point, there'd only been 44 like people in the history of the fucking United States. Like, that's not even enough people to cover one row of a slave ship. So yeah, post racism. I mean, like, this is a nice dream, but it's currently it's bullshit. And post race, therefore, like is bullshit because I think you'd have to get post racism done first before you can have post race, right? You'd have to get rid of racism um, first, because otherwise people would just be hating people for reasons they just couldn't quite put their little fingers on. Eh? Yeah. So saying post race, post race before post racism is putting the ship before the slave. Anyway, so right here is a poem called "The Post," and I'm gonna read it to you now. The Post. Pulled free my skin at its linchpin for to be post. At last, I am pink meat sitting at the desktop, typing things to do with my obsolete rap. 1. Bungee jump from sturdy limbs of southern trees. 2. Bundle it for laundering with jockey silks and handkerchiefs. 3. Double Dutch with Harlemites on Malcolm X. 4. Traded in for right to work at harbor-based auction blocks. 5. 6. 7. 8. Etc. Etc. And also that. Have you seen my lustrous skin? I mistook what she stroked for Saran. Her handbag Yorkie tugged it down, shucked her hips like stripped bikinis. Her pink beneath, she seemed not to notice, was just as new as a white POTUS. Wind lifts my old skin, strolls it tipsy down the street. A black and white trawls the curb, sees, and flashes lights. Then remembers when we are and pulls off. My skin is quite the pip, lingering by shop glass without appetite. America is different now, isn't it? The circling birds are tracing hugs. Yes, they want us all inside. There, a pink child flies my skin. A kite. Look, Mommy, they said, and Mommy did. See how high it can go, Mommy said. America is so different now, yes. How many can fit in one skin. The pronouns for citizens, us or them, skinless now as I've become. The rich air agitates the pink. Gone so far, cleaving skins to ticker tape. The winners, a parade for them next, from us, for sure. Best collect the litter when all is fin. Once marching ends, we'll need loft it again. Thank you. I'm waiting for what I imagine is rapturous applause, and I don't want to talk over that while y'all are busy clapping. So I'm a professional ass poet. All right. So this next poem is called Just Wanna Be Like. And before I became a professional ass poet, I sometimes did like theater productions. And one of the productions I got to do was a production of Godspell. That was fun. And it wasn't just fun because I got to play Jesus, right? And spoiler alert, he dies at the end. But he comes back. Anyway, so I was in Godspell. And this poem is riffing off of some advice that the director gave us, the cast. And the director said, the audience doesn't have to believe the king is on stage. They just have to believe that the rest of the cast believes the king is on stage. And so that's some advice that I've thought about a lot. Sometimes I have the opportunity to work with actors, theater students in general, and that's a piece of advice that I carry with me. It also is very useful advice about sort of how we think of leaders, right? Like whether we believe the person on stage is, the legitimate leader, the king or not. It all follows based upon what other people believe about that. If they seem to believe that that's the leader, maybe that has an impact on the rest of us, whether we ask for it or not. Still feels a little dry. Yeah, still feels a little dry. Still feels kind of dry. Sort of dry. Just a little. So this is a poem called Just Wanna Be Like. Was him once finny on the beams, prior he's hewer of thorn trees, could stretch tilapia and ewer, dole it for all to take and eat. For real though came pulverized metacarpus, metatarsus, sometime later, latex prosthesis, squib hocus. Once was green goblin, be been as him at these thens. Still oogles, nipples on tape. Philistines boo, buke, hiss. On his knees, when back beneath peace trees, after the foe tongued the hot fork down the holiest holy cochlea. This I. A him rode with the devil once. Mr. Mad Max directed. Now take it up, now put it down and bleed. Good. And good. Busloads like the sandal loads packed to see him as him him, opening, unrestricted, and so graphically. I was directed. If the other actors believe you're the king, so I belted, alas, alas for you, as him again, again at the strain of my range. The audience will believe. The king dies every year, again, again for you. But who seeks to save shall lose. Thus, encore. The concessions looks looted, like whose temple is this? Money changers boo, buke, hiss. This I knew, since clip-on ties, pipe cleaner puppets, lamb get-ups, riser setups by height. Find your suffering in his, thus directed, real. The stripped, sinewy model, icon of him as him, break a leg. Lights dim, music up, stained glass cut to blood lit for love, for craft. Suspend. Now here's where you're there then, and can smell the stock's dung, while that young gal's milk mills flesh from the star hung. So this next poem is another brand new dance, the final brand new dance of the evening. And this is called Do the Cruise Line Up, Slow Grind Up. This one not everybody has done, but you know, you can learn it because you know, you'll never know when you're gonna need it again, when it's gonna be that next hot shit in your town. Because I've heard it's happening in other towns, right? Like this kind of thing. So line up, everybody, for the rocking and rolling. You all in the groove from the windows to the walls. Hump that back, bend them knees, grind in tight on the one you're with it. Down to the floor in this funky ass joint to dawn till dark. Fall next on deck. A new cut y'all ain't never heard. But the man on the wheel will make you move. That hot body from coast to coast. Who got the most soul folk wanna hear y'all holler, follow these steps. If you step, you best not too fast. Now, too far, too long, not too low. Might catch the blues on the 1 and 3. Damn it, don't lose the rhythm. Gonna bring that beat back down. How my crew and I do best believe gonna see y'all work it. So this next poem is going to be the concluding poem of the evening. Thank you all very much for being here, um, and for you know sticking with this reading. Um, this poem is called "I Imagine I've Been Science Fiction Always," and it is a poem that was based upon a form that was created in that same class I talked about earlier by a former student named Teo Rivera Dundas. And this form is a mode, is kind of an approach, a mood or a mode. And it's it's about robot voice, right? It's about a robot voice. And this poem happened to also close a set that I performed with my frequent collaborator, Val Genty. Val Inc. is how she goes professionally. And she's this brilliant percussionist, DJ, beatsmith, sound chemist. And we closed the set at a spot in Portland called Disjecta back in 2019. And that performance was recorded for an LP that Phonograph Editions released. And so, yeah, we closed it that way too. So I feel like I should close this set with it as well. And I think that this poem, I Imagine I've Been Science Fiction Always, will be the title poem from the next book I'm working on. And I think just because you never know at the last second that might change, but I feel like this is it. So I Imagine I've Been Science Fiction Always, a form after Teo Rivera Dundas. I've been queried about my nature and answered I was the opposite. I was the objectionable object of manufacture. What I have been made to do, I was made to. To a need, I am myself instrumental. To be played, except without effort, for I'm laborious enough as I am my damn self. Which is to say that I play myself. Vernacular. Literal. Auto-thespian. I is a actor and never a actor. I agree it's complex, but my itness demands it. Was I a simple machine, I'd have more leverage, more pull. I could screw with their there-ness better. I could make it plain. Their intention. But complex is what you call a euphemism, a lexical dust cloud. Complex as in I had me a complex about my nature being opposite. Complex as in their reasons for needing me to have an opposite nature are complex. Complex as in prison industrial, etc., etc. You could hide a whole mess of shit behind a word like complex. My hide's complexion hides nothing. It's a shit show that the shit it show sure is shit to them for sure. But listen here. I know that shit ain't natural. Which shit? Their shit. It's their shit that makes my nature be opposite. Opposite to what? Exactly, my dear interlocutor. And if I am not natural because of their unnatural shit, then is that supernatural? To be both an object and a figment. I imagine I've been science fiction always, even though they came in the unidentified floating obscenities. That shit for sure wasn't natural. And I know from natural when I am seized by it. For sure, uncanny to consider those ships kin or kith, but we are out the same factory. If I had to answer for my nature, call me batty, but I'd figure like 50%. Like half the time, I have some nature to me. Like the blood in me seems too contingent to be blood. Like it's contextual. Which is to say, when it's on some hands, it ain't never blood, but shit. Some category of shit. When it's under me, though, on the ground like some kind of shadow, it's blood. Or when it would be coming out me, blood. Right then, there. I don't even know if what any of them put on me is flesh. But I know it sure as shit isn't skin. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I guess now we'll do some Q&A, I guess. I please give it up for Laura Ianku, who is also like she's everything you see. That's her work. Except the whack shit. The whack shit I did myself. And also, just thank you very much for joining us. All right.